With the election now just 173 days away, there are growing concerns about disruptions to our political process. The Senate Intelligence Committee today holding a hearing on foreign election interference. 3 top national security officials will testify, including the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. This just days after the FBI warned that foreign adversaries may use AI to interfere in the elections and spread disinformation. Joining us now is the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia. Senator, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
So what are the biggest threats to our elections right now? Is it Russia, China, Iran? Could AI be the wild card here, or is it something else?
Well, it's actually all of the above. We saw in 2016, Russia massively interfered, both trying to attack our election infrastructure cyber-wise and also spreading tons of disinformation. Now, other nation states know that this method is cheap and effective. So we could see China, Russia, Iran, even nation states that are not necessarily adversarial try to weigh in. Number one. Number two, the truth is, and this is just kind of the fact of life, Americans are willing to believe crazier and crazier conspiracy theories coming off the internet. So it doesn't take that much to amplify those theories, oftentimes on social media platforms. And then third, as you mentioned, artificial intelligence can end up changing your voice, your face, my voice, my face, in a way that we've actually already seen. There was a fake video of former President Trump appearing to hug Dr. Fauci. There was a fake video of Joe Biden's voice. Those AI tools used by foreigners could take what's already going to be a contentious election and frankly have a major way of interference. Add all that on top of the possibilities of cyber attacks against some of our election infrastructure, and I think Americans should be on their guard.
With that said, what are you hoping to get out of today's hearings, and how transparent will the results or the findings be to the public, to the American public?
Well, I want those government entities responsible for the security of our elections to lay out with specificity what they're doing to protect our election infrastructure. I think we've gotten better on the cyber side, but that's always a potential vulnerability. On the disinformation side, I think we need to go about educating Americans. If you believe something or hear something that sounds just too wacky to be true, then maybe you ought to take a pause. The problem is that, with some of the things that appear on the internet domestically, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think we should be aware that the bad guys will try to amplify that. So we've been calling on the tech companies to take down altered content. There's something called watermarking, where you could see if a TV ad or a radio ad has been altered by AI. They've said they would do this to tech companies. I'd like to see a little more proof of that. But this is as much an education venture, and we will have additional hearings on this so that, again, Americans can be on guard. This is not just an American phenomenon, mind you. We've seen enormous evidence that Russia is going to try to intervene, for example, in the European parliamentary elections in June. That may be a precursor of what we would see in our elections in November.
You mentioned AI, and we're talking about ever-evolving technology when it comes to elections. Do you think Congress is prepared to deal with the changes and, of course, the improvement of technology?
Listen, AI's got great upside potential. But just as we saw with social media, there's a downside as well. I think Congress should act. There is a bipartisan framework. Whether we will get our act together quick enough to put rules in place before election, I'm not counting on that. That's why I've been urging, and we did get 20 tech companies to agree to take down altered content and to try to educate their viewers if content is altered. I'm a little worried about that. It is one of the reasons why, though, I was glad that we had a broad bipartisan effort a few weeks back to say to TikTok, which ultimately is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, because ByteDance is a Chinese company, that we ought to have a transaction to get that company out of Communist Chinese Party ultimate control and transferred to some other company, American, British, Canadian, because that could also be enormous propaganda value. A slight twist of that algorithm, and you got 170 million Americans, 90 minutes a day. TikTok has more power than Fox News and MSNBC combined.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.